You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Hey, how's it going? This is going to be a little bit more of an off the fly type episode about not living in your 9-to-5 brain anymore. I just got off of a really amazing holiday with some friends, and I felt myself creeping back into 9-to-5 mentalities that are really good for people with 9-to-5s. I am not judging that whatsoever. But the reason why I wanted to do this episode is because I know that so many of my listeners are still in part in other jobs, and you want to leave those jobs to take your business to the next level. And even if you have already left that job, you might find yourself speaking to friends who are not entrepreneurs, who have very different outlooks on life and outlooks on money and how you invest that money and what you decide to do with money and time. And while you can still totally be friends with all of these people and have great relationships, I really do recommend that you have a few entrepreneurial, what I call business besties, who are going to understand these things that only you can really understand. Because here is the thing. Most of us were raised with parents who are also, to an extent, either 9-to-5ers or small business owners. And the interesting thing about my family dynamic is when I started out in business, I remember looking at my dad. My dad is a small business owner, and thinking I would not ever possibly want that. He was always talking about how everything was really unstable. You never know how much money you're making each and every year, or each and every month. And he would always say, I just want you to get a really good government job. And in Canada, government jobs are a really big thing. They pay really well. They give you really great benefits. And that was always the goal. Get yourself a really great government job and don't go into the instability of owning your own business. Because he would always say things like, daddy has to work. And he always calls himself daddy. My dad's really cute like that. But he'd say, daddy has to work really, really hard in the summers so that in the winters, we can save money so that we can survive the winters. And then, of course, he'd also invest in assets and things like that. But that was one of his main things. And he didn't really grow. He hasn't really grown the business a lot, especially not in the way that I've grown in terms of having an online business. And so I definitely feel like there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being a small business owner. Being a small business owner, you work for yourself, you choose your hours, but you're always exchanging time for money. And I really do feel like the entrepreneurial mentality is more of how can I be more creative? How can I create more? And of course, also infusing that with how can I stop changing or exchanging my time for money, which is really where I aim to get most of my clients as well. And so if you're listening to this, hopefully that's somewhere that you also aim to get to. But when we are in 9-to-5s and when we have had parents who've had that whole getting a biweekly paycheck, we tend to feel like entrepreneurship should work that exact same way. And it does not work that way. You are never going to have that stability of that biweekly paycheck ever again. And I definitely do not want to go back to that, although sometimes it does feel nice if I could just have very strict parameters with my brain in terms of knowing what to allocate where. But the more that you stay around and just surround yourself with people who don't understand entrepreneurship, the more that you're not going to allow yourself to truly step into a leadership role within your business where you need to figure out the different mindset that you need to have as an entrepreneur that's very different from someone who just gets a steady paycheck. So let's talk about the obvious thing. People who are 9-to-5s or people who have jobs, careers where other people pay them consistently, right? So generally speaking, in my 9-to-5 job, I actually think I worked like 8 to 4. So it was an 8 to 4. And every other week, my bank account would have money in it. It would just, it would just appear. And so as long as I stayed to my specific amount of sick days, as long as I didn't ask for more vacation time, I would always have that specific amount of money in my bank account. At the same time, you also have a specific amount of money that comes out for your mortgage, for your rent, for your car bills, your insurance. You also know every time you go to the grocery store, you're going to have a specific amount of money coming out. And so you always, as a 9-to-5er, you always know the money that comes out and the money that comes in, because you don't have to invest in a business and someone else is paying you money, right? It's pretty easy in that way. And so when someone in your life talks to you about money, when they are in that type of money mentality and that type of money situation, it's just very different. It's not wrong. It's their right. But that can no longer be your right as an entrepreneur. And so as an entrepreneur, you no longer have that luxury of understanding, here's the money in and here's the money out. And as long as I do these specific things, as long as I work this specific amount of hours, I always know that I'm going to have this money coming in. And I always know that I'm also going to have this money coming out. It's also incredibly easy to budget your money as someone who is still getting paid by someone else, because you know how much money is coming in. Even if you get commissions, even if you have just a little bit of irregularity, let's say, for example, if you're picking up shifts, if you are a waitress or someone who gets tips, you kind of somewhat know how much is coming in and coming out. When you're an entrepreneur, you could have 1 month that you make $10,000 and you can have the next month that you make $2,000. And if you are not careful, you could allow that to completely derail you. And you can allow that to make you feel like you're never going to make money again, or, oh my goodness, my money is not coming in. On the flip side of that, you also have to be really careful with okay, I made $10,000 this month. Now all of a sudden, automatically, I'm just going to make $10,000 forever and ever and ever. You could make $2,000 one month and $10,000 the next month and $5,000 the next month. And your business could be completely normal. It can be thriving and it can be a sustainable business, because for entrepreneurs, we need to look at our business growth over longer periods of time. So we no longer have the every 2 week paycheck, the biweekly paycheck. Now we have what did my quarter look like? What did my year look like? And not every year and every quarter is going to look the exact same, but you can start to understand a little bit of how your business is going through longer periods of time. So that would be my first recommendation there, is always look at your business through a bigger picture lens, because just because someone else is getting a biweekly paycheck doesn't necessarily mean that they are a lot more safe and a lot more secure than you are, because you could be making a lot more than that because you also have capacity to. And you're also creating your own schedule. And that's why you're in this, right? To create your own schedule and to create something that is truly yours. That's why most of us go into this and give up our safety and security so that we can have something that is far more important to us. And if you play your cards right and you're really good at understanding business strategy, you can actually make a lot more for yourself as someone who's self-employed versus someone who's in their 9-to-5. And I've learned that. And when I first came into entrepreneurship, it was really just to replace my 9-to-5 income. But I've understood that I can double and triple and just keep on quantum leaping in my income as I've understood a lot of these principles that I'm talking about today. Now, the second really important thing about the difference between being a 9-to-5er and a business owner is the 9-to-5er doesn't actually put any of their money into the marketing of the company that they're working for, right? So whoever is doing the publicity, whether or not this place of work even needs publicity, someone else is using their own advertising dollars. Someone else has their marketing team. Someone else has their sales team. Someone else has their customer support team. You are now all of those things as an entrepreneur. What this also means is that you need to invest your own money in order to see money in your business. And this is one thing that really keeps a lot of people stuck in their business, because they don't want to spend their own money. They don't want to invest their own money because they just kind of feel like, well, I need to make money in order to spend money. You want to think about that in entrepreneurship in the exact opposite way. You need to spend money in order to make money, especially because marketing has costs and fees associated with it. Of course, could you do a lot of this type of stuff on your own, create content, maybe get a few organic clients here and there? Sure, you could if you really knew how to sell yourself online, which very few people do, but it is possible. So you could start making some of that money on your own. But especially if you want to grow and scale, you are no longer the person who's just getting that stable paycheck. You now have to invest a lot of your own money to get into this business in order to see this business flourish. You don't do that in a 9-to-5 because someone else is investing that money. And so it's even very common for 9-to-5ers to not understand at all business investments, because to them, that would be completely ludicrous. Right? Spending $5,000 or $10,000 into your business, they'd be like, that's like your entire savings for an entire year. Because then you start to equate that to, well, how much do you need a budget every single month for your biweekly paycheck in order to put that money into a business? What you don't understand when you're a 9-to-5er is that your money compounds. You have a compound interest on your money when you are investing it into your business, because it is an investment. And not the same type of investment as a stock. So here's another really interesting thing, especially if you're someone who's really cerebral and really logic oriented, like me. So you can invest your money in a stock and it's going to generate you, let's say, for example, if it's an index fund, it's going to generate you like your 8 to 12% per year, right? But if you're investing that money in yourself and in your skill set and in your baby and the thing that you're truly passionate about, you're not just getting an 8% return, right? You're getting like a 100% return and 200% return and 300% return, depending on how your rate of return for investing in your business and in your skill set and in yourself is huge. It goes way beyond that. Of course, you're also putting in your time, but over time, especially as you scale your business, you're not just putting in your time anymore. You're putting in the effectiveness of your team. And so the investments that you create in your business are going to be far more profitable than the investments that you can make into the stock market. Of course, the stock market is going to help you to grow in passive income over time, but the investment that you make in yourself and in your skill set, that's just infinitely more profitable in your business. And once again, that's not something that you can understand with a 9-to-5 mentality, because you're no longer trading time for money with a business. You no longer have the biweekly paycheck. It's completely infinite. The possibilities for your business are completely infinite versus you only have a finite amount of time. And so when you continue to trade time for money and continue to feel like you should be paid on an hourly rate, there's only a specific amount of hours that you can be working in order to see that. Another really big thing that I see a lot of entrepreneurs get really confused with in the beginning is they feel like they need to make $2,000 a month because that's how much they take home from their employer. So they need to match that. They want to make 5K months because they want to match what they take home from their employer. And the problem with this as well is businesses, especially businesses that want to grow, are spending between 20 and 35% of what they are making back into business growth. And so you probably actually need to be making a lot more than you think you need to be making in order to take home the specific amount that you want to take home. This is a lot easier with a 9-to-5 mentality, because with a 9-to-5 mentality, you get your biweekly paycheck and you know, okay, this is how much money I'm going to make. This is how much money I'm going to go into taxes or is going to go into taxes. And this is how much I'm going to take home. With a business, you also have your business expenses. So this is how much I need to invest in my business in order to see it grow. This is how much I need to invest in team. This is how much I need to invest in ads. This is how much I need to invest in coaching and mentorship. And then after that, then you're also taxed on that income. So you're actually taking home a lot less than that, which is why it's also so important to not completely discount your services, because if you're pricing yourself at $100, you're not taking home the $100. You're probably taking home $50 of that $100. And so you want to make sure that you are pricing yourself, giving and taking all of this into consideration. And this is why a lot of people don't go into entrepreneurship, because it's a lot more risky than staying in a 9-to-5. In fact, for a lot of people, 9-to-5s and that income stability is very attractive. I totally get that. And that is also why when I used to see my dad talking about not having money for half of the year because he works in construction, and we live in Canada and it's cold in the winter, so he doesn't get a lot of business because he can't work. And having a lot of business in the summers and having to make sure that he worked a lot in the summers, I was like, well, I don't want that. I want consistency. I want stability. But one thing that I also started to understand about my dad, and the reason why we were able to have the lifestyle that we did when we were younger, the reason why we were able to go to Portugal on holiday for a month at a time, is because he decided that he wanted to own his time. He decided that it was more important to him to step out of being employed for someone else and to work his own hours and to make his own money, because he knew that he could make more working for himself doing the same thing. And it was more important for him to own his time than to have that stability, because he could create that stability for himself. And when I look back at it now I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. I never wanted to do this for myself. And now I cannot see myself doing anything else. I cannot see myself going back to the stability of the biweekly paycheck, because doing my own thing helps me to challenge myself, helps me to step into my creativity, and it helps me to truly design my life in a way that I want to design it. And so yes, for a lot of people, this is not attractive. And I totally understand that. I know for a lot of people, they don't want to market themselves. They don't want to discipline themselves. They want someone else to give them that structure, that focus, and that biweekly paycheck. And I totally get that. But if you are an entrepreneur and if you are signing up to have your own business, you need to understand that that mindset is no longer going to serve you. And the more that you can actively work on reprogramming that mindset, especially around money and the way money works in entrepreneurship, the quicker you're going to be able to grow and scale your business to a level where you would have never been able to accomplish those things working for someone else. And so this is why you need to ditch the 9-to-5 mindset if you want to truly step into your full potential as an entrepreneur, especially with the way that you look at money and the way that 9-to-5s tend to look at money as something finite versus entrepreneurship. Money is literally infinite, and it's all about how you play the game with that money. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. It was a little bit off the fly, but you know what? I think that we got a lot of really amazing, important things in here. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.